Hello and good morning, students. So today we are learning about ratio and how to demonstrate and represent a ratio using 3 different methods. And we will also learn about unit rate and how to figure out what unit rate is. So I'll give you a moment. So please make sure you have your math notebook and a pencil. I'll give you about 10 seconds to take that out. Okay, so let's get started. So your objective today is I will be able to understand how to write a ratio 3 different ways and understand unit rate. Okay, so again, you will need your math notebook and a pencil. So these are the 3 academic vocabulary that you will need for the entire unit of ratios and proportions. So let's be sure to have a clear understanding of what a ratio is, a rate, and a unit rate. Okay, so a ratio is a way to compare 2 different quantities. Rate, an equivalent ratio that compares the first quantity in a ratio to only one of the second quantity. Unit rate, the part of the rate that is being compared. Now, I know right now there's still a little maybe like what or confusing, but just know that as we go throughout the lesson, we will, turning up my volume. It'll become more clear and you'll become more comfortable with it. So right now, I just want to quickly just have you guys just think about these 3 terms and what they might mean to you. What are ways that you could describe a ratio in the real world? Okay. So I'll give you about 20 seconds to think about it. Okay, so like I said, this is an introduction to what we'll be learning and what we will be doing for the next 2 weeks. Okay, so how do we use ratios and unit rates to solve real world math problems? So that's ultimately our goal, is to be able to be on our everyday basis and be able to say, you know what, that's an example of a ratio or of unit rate. So a ratio, like I said, compares 2 numbers or quantities by division. So you have 3 different types of ratio: part to part to whole, or whole to part. So like I said, you'll be able to see examples as we go on. Unit rate is the unit cost per one. So for example, I always give my students an example. If you walked into Starbucks and bought 2 cups of coffee, right? 2 cups of coffee, and let's just say you paid $4. The unit rate is the cost for 1 coffee. So if you bought 2 coffees, they were $4 for both. How much was 1 coffee? What was the price for 1? Okay. So just turning on my, okay. Okay, just making sure. Okay. So again, a unit rate compares 2 quantities with different units of measure. So like we said, a unit rate for our Starbucks example would have been 1 coffee for $1. For $2, sorry, right? Because if we had 2 coffees and they were $4, then our unit rate would be 1 coffee, $2. So Our examples are here: 40 breaths in 1 minute, 55 miles per hour, 32 miles on 1 gallon, 80 words per minute. That is our unit rate. If I would say 80 breaths in 2 minutes, that is not our unit rate. Our unit rate is the amount for one. Okay. So moving on. So unit cost, also unit rate, unit cost. The unit cost would have been for Starbucks because we're trying to figure out the cost for one. Okay, so these are examples. So take a moment to look at them. Okay. So if you turn, obviously you do not have your books with you due to distance learning, but you do have these slides. So what you will be doing with your group is you will be reviewing this first page, okay? Then you will answer this question. So what is the difference between a ratio and its related rate and unit rate? Remember to use the notes at the top, okay? Then you will fill out these pieces, these questions with your group and talk about them. I went ahead and just added the first few within this diagram that you see, this number line, okay? And then you will answer this as well, okay? So you will discuss with your group slides 8, 9, 10, and 11. I know it seems like a lot, but you'll, as you guys go on and as you talk about your strategies that you use to discuss and to answer these questions, it'll get a lot easier, okay? Then you will have a chance to pull up your HyperDoc, okay? And the only thing we're working on for today is our Ratio Blaster math game, okay? So the reason why I want you guys to just play this game is to get a little bit of a break from all of these, all of these other questions. I know it's a lot, okay? So you'll have about 20 minutes to work on these slides. Then you will open up your HyperDoc that I posted on Google Classroom. And today we are just talking about our Ratio Blaster math game. And of course, always remember to reflect and write key takeaways that you have from playing the game, okay? Then after that, you will then complete your exit ticket. Sorry, the date is wrong here, but you will be completing this. Sorry, get my dates mixed up. So, like I said, this right here is your exit ticket, okay? So I will read it to you just in case your group wants to, just in case you guys complete the activities pretty soon. If I just clarify it, then you'll be ready to go. So it says, Ms. Contreras loves Starbucks coffee. Today, while waiting to place her order for her coconut milk vanilla latte without whipped topping, she noticed the prices for the 3 sizes that were available. Okay, so again, your exit ticket, always on your own. Okay, so after you get into your groups, your breakout rooms, then I will have you guys all join again the main room, and then you'll complete this. This is not to be done with your group. Okay? So what you need to do is you need to figure out which is a better buy. You will find the unit rates for each. Okay, so remember we talked about how to divide, what goes inside the house, what goes outside. So you will divide all three. You'll figure out which is a better unit rate. So you want to figure out how much you're paying, okay, for each drink. So I know automatically you see, okay, well, I don't want to pay $4.55. But if you get more coffee for a better price, always go with that one. Okay. And then again, you'll talk about how you solved the problem and why you think it is a better buy. Okay. So now that we went over these, you will get started and you will start talking with your groups about these questions. Okay. So like I said, please make sure that the exit ticket is not done with your group. This is to be done on your own. The last not 5 minutes, the last 10 minutes of class. Okay, so remember, after you talk about these questions, you will open up your HyperDoc. You will click on this game. It is really cool. I actually was playing it. So you'll play the game, okay? Then you will reflect on what you learned and try and ask your team about what score they got, okay? Any questions, you can put them in the chat. Okay, remember again, this exit ticket, I will need to be able to see your understanding on the assignment. So please do not work with your group on this. Okay, so again, please use these notes as reference and the definitions. Feel free to go back to all of these. Okay. All right, any questions before I let you be? Make sure you are talking and discussing the strategies and the way you are answering these questions. Okay, I will be joining every single Google Meet to hear your strategies that you're talking with your group. Make sure you use the think, pair, share strategy. Okay. Remember to have your slides open, your HyperDoc, and your game. Okay, you can start. So, reminder, you should all be on slide 8, discussing this introduction right here. Okay. Also, please make sure you are discussing and you are talking with your group. I have my little list here. Okay, so remember, the way that I grade you is also on you discussing with your group, right? Group collaboration. I mentioned that in parent conferences, how that is a huge part of your grade. Okay, because yes, you can answer this question, but if you are explaining it to your group members and your peers, it's way easier. It's more practice. You know, they always say that you can solve a problem, but if you can't demonstrate through think, pair, share, and talking to your peers and on how you solve the problem, then maybe you need a little bit more practice, right? That's how I always, guide myself. If I can explain to you how I got this answer, I think I'm good. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, that's my messages. Okay, so your group should be on the reflect part, which you should be discussing the difference between a ratio and its related rate and unit rate. If you are done with that, make sure you are answering these questions. Okay, and remember, after you're going to your HyperDoc that's in your Google Classroom, you are playing the Ratio Blaster math game. So remember, your Ratio Blaster game is located on Google Classroom. If you're having trouble with entering the game, let me know. I know some students have had issues with logging in. So by the end of today, we should be able to understand how to write a ratio 3 different ways, right? We have talked about writing ratios 3 different ways. Remember, using the colon symbol, using the word to, and then a fraction. So this is part 2 of our first lesson. So last week we talked about actually taking a ratio and then writing it the 3 different ways. So today we're using that information and we're focusing more on the unit rate, right? So if you want to look at the double number line a little bit more, you see that these are all our, these are all rates, right? But our unit rate would be 30 miles per 1 gallon. Sorry, my battery runs low all the time. I'm hearing some really great discussions. Nice. And don't worry about that I'm in all of them, because I know sometimes when you guys see that my camera is on your Google Meet, you get a little bit like, okay, but just know I'm bouncing to each Google Meet. I can't wait for you guys to do the exit ticket because it has to do with Starbucks. Remember your hyperdoc. When you get to the game portion, the hyperdoc is on Google Classroom. I'm really liking the conversations. So in about 15 minutes, you should be working towards your hyperdoc. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to the tabs. Please remember to read the question carefully with your group. Okay, because I hear some of you are reading the question once. Remember, we've talked about rereading questions to truly understand what they're asking and what we need to provide for them. What kind of information are they giving us, right? Please pay attention to this number line as it explains very well in like a visual way. All right, so please make sure that you are talking about each question and that you move into the ratio blaster game after. Then, when I let you know and the timer is done, we will then come back to this main Google Meet and then we'll work on the exit ticket. And then you will go. And tomorrow I will be placing you in groups. They will be different than these groups. So please make sure that you complete the exit ticket at the end so that I can place you in your correct groups. And thank you for those that have their cameras on. It's way easier to talk to people when their cameras are on as opposed to when you're just staring at a certain screen. It's just more comfortable. Remember, if you guys do not get a chance to finish all of these, you can always go back. Okay? So in about 8 minutes, you will begin to play the ratio blaster game. Please do not rush through these. If you didn't finish them, you guys will have time tomorrow. I just want us to be keeping up with our timer. So whoever my timekeeper was last week, you will still keep time. Thanks.